Imagine a single man with so much power that he could save, or destroy, an entire country's economy with the wave of his hand. A man so rich he bought the first billion-dollar company as if he were buying bread. A man so feared that even US presidents trembled before his influence. This isn't a fictional villain, this man existed. His name, John Pierpont Morgan. He was hated, admired, but never ignored. And today you'll discover the dirty secrets, the crises he orchestrated, and the invisible empire he built. One that still controls your money today. Don't go anywhere. This story will change how you see power. The sickly boy who became a predator. John Pierpont Morgan was born in 1837, the son of an already powerful banker. Money was never an issue, but health, that was another story. From childhood, Morgan suffered brutal illnesses, scarlet fever, seizures, debilitating migraines. While other children played, he was trapped at home studying financial reports. Frustrated by his fragility, his father exiled him alone to the Azores Islands for nearly a year. He believed the salty air would cure him. What really healed him? Solitude forged his ruthlessness. At 19, he'd already studied in Boston, Switzerland, and Germany. His father placed him on Wall Street, but there was a problem. He was too reckless to be a banker. In one of his first gambles, he bought an entire shipment of Brazilian coffee without a buyer. He sold it at a profit, but his father and partners were horrified. It was only the beginning. At 24, he married Amelia, his first love. 4 months later, she died of tuberculosis. Morgan buried himself in work and greed as an escape. When the Civil War broke out, he paid $300 to avoid service. Instead, he profited by selling old rifles to the government at 600% markup. The press called him a war profiteer, but he didn't care, because behind the scenes, he was already planning his next move, one that would change America forever. The Railroad Baron and the Birth of a Monopoly. In 1871, Morgan allied with Anthony Drexel and founded the bank that would bear his name, J.P. Morgan and Company, the seed of the billion-dollar empire that exists today. While others invested in gold or land, Morgan saw the future railroads, but not in the way you'd think. At the time, dozens of companies competed for the same routes, slashing prices until they went bankrupt. Morgan hated competition. His solution? Monopoly. He bought failing railroads, reorganized them, and merged them into giant conglomerates. His method became known as Morganization, eliminating rivals until only he remained. But Morgan didn't just want profit, he wanted absolute control. He demanded board seats, fired CEOs, and dictated rules. If a company asked for help, he replied, "Only if I'm in charge." Soon, he controlled 1/3 of all U.S. railroads, at a time when 60% of the stock market was rail companies. His power was so great that even the government feared him. When President Theodore Roosevelt tried to confront him, Morgan mocked, "I hope the first lion he meets in Africa does its duty." But railroads were just the beginning. He was about to buy an even bigger industry, and create the first billion-dollar corporation. The Man of Steel, the first billion-dollar company in history. In 1901, Andrew Carnegie, the Steel King, decided to retire. His company, Carnegie Steel, was the world's most profitable, earning $40 million a year. Morgan saw the opportunity. He told Carnegie, "Name your price." Carnegie replied, $480 million, an insane amount for the time. Without hesitation, Morgan agreed. He later confessed, "I would have paid 100 million more." But he didn't just want Carnegie Steel. He wanted it all. He merged it with other steel giants to form U.S. Steel, the first company worth $1 billion. To grasp the madness, U.S. Steel was worth 15% of all U.S. manufacturing. Morgan controlled 2/3 of America's steel production. While Rockefeller dominated oil, Morgan now ruled steel and railroads, the twin pillars of the American economy. He didn't stop there. He financed Thomas Edison, helped create General Electric, and even shaped a tan DT. He didn't build companies, he built empires. But as Morgan celebrated, a storm was brewing. The U.S. economy was on the brink of collapse, and he would be forced to save it. The banker who saved and dominated America. In 1893, the U.S. plunged into its worst economic crisis yet. Banks failed, unemployment soared, gold vanished from government vaults. The problem? The dollar was backed by gold, and investors were panicking, frantically exchanging cash for gold. The government had just $9 million in reserves, when $100 million was the safe minimum. Without action, the country would go bankrupt. With no central bank, President Grover Cleveland did the unthinkable. He asked J.P. Morgan for help. Morgan acted fast. He gathered top bankers and formed a private syndicate to buy $65 million in government bonds, with real gold. In 22 minutes, the plan was executed. Confidence returned, panic subsided. Morgan saved the dollar and made millions in interest. But it raised a terrifying question. How could one man have more power than the government itself? The press called him a hero. Politicians called him a danger. But Morgan was already eyeing the next crisis, one he would help create. The Money Master, the Panic of 1907 and the birth of the Federal Reserve. In 1907 another crisis hit, this time worse. Banks were failing, people rushed to withdraw cash. The government was clueless. President Theodore Roosevelt, who despised Morgan, swallowed his pride and asked for his help. Morgan locked the nation's top bankers in his private library and bolted the door. No one would leave until they fixed the crisis. His solution? Big banks would bail out small ones. The government pitched in $25 million. Morgan added his personal fortune. It worked. The panic ended. But the cost was high. America realized it depended too much on one man. Congress, terrified, launched an investigation into the money trust, the alleged banking cartel led by Morgan. The result? The Federal Reserve was created in 1913 to prevent one man from controlling the nation's money. Irony? Morgan died that same year, some say from grief, others say his work was done. A legacy of blood, gold, and power. In his final years, Morgan faced his worst enemy, the people. Congressional committees investigated him, accusing him of running a secret money trust. His mental health collapsed. He had breakdowns, avoided the media. Ironically, he almost boarded the Titanic but canceled due to illness. In 1913, at 75, he died in Rome. His son took over the empire, but his true legacy was proving one man could be more powerful than a nation. The government, frightened by his power, created the Federal Reserve, so they'd never rely on one banker again. But J.P. Morgan and Company never stopped. It merged with Chase, bought Bear Stearns, and today is the world's largest bank with $3 trillion in assets. The question remains, was Morgan a hero or a villain? He saved the economy twice, but bled crises dry to grow richer. One thing's certain, he shaped modern capitalism. His name still haunts Wall Street. What do you think? Do men like him still exist today? This was just one of the forbidden stories of power. If you want to uncover the secrets of the men who truly control the world, hit the bell and subscribe now.